Welcome to the Scene Snobs podcast.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Mick Manhattan, and we are here for another Tuesday night. It is part 2, or should I say side B of our mixtape. That's right, mixtape 4. We're having a good time with it. It is Heartbreak night. We did Love last week. You guys got to go back and check out that episode. It was a lot of fun. Tonight, we're going to be doing Heartbreak. It's going to be crazy. I've listened to a lot of Heartbreak over the last week, and it's gotten to me. But no, I've had a lot of fun doing this. It's so reinvigorating, looking at old songs again, kind of revisiting old stories, stuff like that. And it's just been such a good time talking to these guys, listening to their playlists and having just a great old time. So we have a great panel of guests tonight who are going to be on here sharing their stuff. We're going to do a couple more reviews, some more mixed movie picks. But like I told you last week, I'm going to keep you privy to my journey of what I'm doing with my program that I'm going through, this IOP that I'm doing through my mental health journey. I have started. It is a lot. I'm not going to lie. It has been kind of a crazy wave as of late. It's only been 2 days of it so far, but I'm excited. We're learning a lot of things, and as I go along, I'm going to try and share more, try and be open with you guys. Just a little at a time and stuff like that. Encourage you if you need things like this. Go down into the descriptions below. We have mental health resources and urge you guys to use them if you need them, or reach out if you need anything. We'll try and send more or help you research, or do what we can, or point you in the right direction of wherever we can. But we do have great guests here in order to bring them on. And tonight, as always, I have my trusty sidekick, if you will. Co-host is more apt. That is producer Paul. Welcome, sir.
How you doing, Mick?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to hear it's going well for you. You've been on my mind a lot, so glad to hear it's going good.
I always appreciate you. I always appreciate having you on, man. And, you being here, and we're going to get into it a little bit later with our reviews, but let's bring on the other panelists, if you will, because I want to hear some of this music that we have going on. And we have Trevor back this week with us. Trevor, thanks for joining in. From Ambassador Radio and Media. I just want to make sure I say that so that way everything's linked below.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. And also, Mick, it's wonderful that you're doing well. And also, I have to yet again point out that it is amazing courage to openly talk about your mental illness. So, for me, the bottom of my heart, what you're doing means a great deal, and it's amazing. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, man. Appreciate you. And our next guest, of course, he is no stranger to the show. He is a good friend, if you will, and you know him from Friday nights because he makes the best drinks around. That's the Master Shake, the Smasher, the Dasher, the Ready for the Flasher. How you doing, buddy? Dan the Man.
Welcome. Going on, Mick. I think it's important to keep the conversation about mental health going forward, and I think it's always refreshing to see people willing to talk about it in an honest and earnest way. So appreciate it, man. Appreciate being on the show. I bummed I didn't get to join in last week. The education world just gets really crazy and busy. But I'm here this week for the B side, which tends to be my favorite anyway.
There's an old adage. I used to be in record sales, but this has been around for years. And the old adage is when a band releases their first single, it's usually crummy, and the best thing is the B side. So,
well, let's see what happens here.
And we're yeah.
Unlisted should be here soon. Our buddy Derek, he should be back soon. He was ushering the Rugrats to bed, so we will hopefully he'll be on soon. But we're gonna get started. And who kicked it off for us last week? So I'm gonna go with you, Paul. Because I here's the thing. I was like, I'll go last, but we were so close in ours. But I got a peek at yours this week.
Yes,
and we are very different.
Oh, yes, we are. I know we are.
So, and I love it. So I'm going to have you go first this week because I really like what you put together.
Awesome. So my breakups are messy. So it's a lot of emotions with me to get over someone. So a lot of these breakup songs or songs help me get over someone. First song on the list is going to be "The Speed of Pain" by Marilyn Manson. For me, that song's kind of dealing with my awful side of being kind of, it's all about me, to be girl might get over me, whatever, but I'm always going to be there and she's going to miss me. So it's very much me trying to, I don't know, I'm something special. I don't know, I think I'm some shit. Second song is going to be "If You Want It." This is by Reliant K. This album is beautiful to me. It came out to me for one of my roughest breakups right as I joined the circus. So this album was playing nonstop. This album was beautiful because they were about to drop a completely different album. And then I believe the lead singer, who was a writer for them, had a bad breakup and wrote a whole new album, which was this. So it was kind of interesting because I've always wondered what the other album actually was because they never released it. But this one I think was perfect. Third song is going to be by Trey Songz. It's going to be "Unfortunate." Just speaks for itself because she moved on to somebody else and not him or me. "Runaway" by Kanye West. I will be the first to admit that many breakups have been due to me being full of myself or an asshole or self-sabotaging. So that song hits home for me perfectly. "Ordinary People" by John Legend. That song is just a beautiful song, and I think it's, you don't necessarily know if they work out or they don't. And I think sometimes couples break up, and it's not necessarily that one or the other did something wrong, it's just the chemistry's not there. Because we're all just human beings. "Make It Without You" by Andrew Bell. That song just reminds me of the day I left for the circus, because the breakup I had at the time, of course, she had just found out that I was leaving, so she asked me not to go. But I was already packed up and on a train up to New York, so that song just hits home for all the right notes. "Mr. Brightside" by The Killers. Because who in a breakup has not been jealous of whoever else took over for you? To get over someone is "So Common, So Cheap" by Blood for Blood. They're screamo punk-ish type band from Boston. So you can imagine these songs are not for the lighthearted. So if you're trying to check out my list, keep in mind that one's pretty rough. "For the First Time" by The Script. That's just a beautiful song. I feel like everyone knows it. I feel like it's just a feel-good breakup song. Oh,
I'm about to check it out.
there you go. It's a great song. It's beautiful. Hello, Derek.
Welcome, Derek. Derek from Unlisted Artists from Unlisted Productions. Thanks for joining us again this week.
Thank you very much for having me. How's everybody doing? All right.
Good.
Doing
We're producer Paul was going through his list. A very good list, by the way, man. So far, man. Like this has been interesting. I really enjoyed your and you sent me the Spotify list, which I really enjoy. And guys, we're gonna put this all together so that way you can see it and share out the Spotify links, whoever has them. But yeah, I'm really liking this. So, do you have any more on your
Yes, I do.
Sorry, I apologize for being late.
No, you're good.
Okay. I didn't know the song came out in 2008. So I was happy to know that "Don't Think I Don't Think About It" by Darius Rucker was able to make the list. Because that's, man, whiskey and overworking yourself. Hello, my name is Paul. Like, best breakup song. Awesome. Then once again, we got Trey Songz with "Can't Be Friends." Speaks for itself. Then I went with a movie motion picture soundtrack, which is Danny Elfman's the grand finale for Edward Scissorhands.
Ooh, very nice.
Awesome.
Wow, nice, dude.
That song lets me go back in a very nostalgic way to think of old relationships in a good way, not necessarily a mean way or with bad reflections of myself or them. "The Hills Have Eyes" by the Acacia Strain. That's a song to get over people for. So prepare yourself for some deathcore and not liking your ex anymore. "Spotlight" by Emery. That's about, somebody setting up false expectations for themselves, presenting themselves as something they're not, you realizing it and getting out while the getting out is good. Studying Politics. That's about not giving up who you are for someone else. So I think it's very empowering breakup song because sometimes people want you to not be who you actually are. And unless you're a raging asshole or something awful, don't change who you are for anybody.
Okay.
And that's my whole list. That's all 17.
Very good, man. Very nice, dude. So I love the way you put that together and what you were thinking about. And I wanted to ask you guys, as you're putting both lists together,
Mhm.
I know for me, I didn't just think about breakups. I thought about a lot of different heartbreaks in my life. It started with breakups.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then other things started like jumping into my brain as I was going through it. So like what did you guys stem some of your list off of for you guys as you guys went along?
Mine
Was
is
it-
an actual playlist from a breakup in
Oh, wow.
2006. So like it's an
Ooh.
actual. I had it in my iTunes. I had to take out all the 60s country western, and I actually Paul, my when you hear my list, I actually had a lot of metal, especially 80s.
Nice.
I had some 80s Swedish death metal in there and black metal. So
Nice.
I took those out.
Battery.
Well, I basically was like, nobody has ever heard of this band, so I'm just gonna pull this out of here right here. So mine's an actual, like, when I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years in 2006. This is 2007. Sorry, it would have been 2007. This is the playlist I made.
I am so obtuse when it comes to music, because now you're saying black metal and you're saying like Swedish death metal, and I was looking on Ambassador radio group the other day, and you were talking about Brazilian black metal.
Yeah, Sacrifado, which came out.
I love Sacrifado.
Yeah, I'm like, what does that mean?
I
I'm
love
like, what is that? I'm like, what is this a thing? Like, I was like, I'm like, is that like a small thing or is that a huge thing? Like, I'm like, Brazilian.
Oh, metal is huge.
Yeah.
As far as there being a genre that has so many different subgenres but has such an intense fan base, metal.
It's the science fiction
love
of
it.
music.
Mhm.
Okay, I love it. I think that's great, but it's just like I just don't know anything. I just don't know anything.
You have your taste and you stick to it. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Nothing wrong with
you
that
know?
either. Yeah.
I'm going to put a
you know
love
what it is?
song
Like,
on that is exactly 36 seconds long.
I just look at people with better taste from outside the Italian restaurant, and I'm like, all right. I'll just stay on this leash. I'm tied to the pole in the rain. You know,
See, I like to experience as many things as I can, especially musically. That's been like from the beginning of my life. You know, I had so many different genres in my house. One of them was not rock and roll, really, like hard, like rock. So I went exploring and I started falling in love with some of those bands, and I was able to pass that off on some of my family and friends that, and some of it, sometimes they love it, sometimes they didn't love it, but that was what I did. But I always go back to my standards, that's just the way it is, so that's just, it's important. It's important. I feel like it's important to kind of expand, but at the same time, you sometimes you just want to hear what you love to hear.
Right.
You have a heavy love for jazz too, right? So that mix of music, like kind of playing chaotically, I mean, that's got to give you like a love of like different type of styles, right? I would imagine. I don't know anything.
Because I appreciated jazz more after, actually, one of the things that got me out of a massive year-long depression was doing a deep dive into black metal. And I'd always been a jazz fan. And, I love John Zorn and all this crazy out there jazz, but also standards. But after really spending a lot of time with like black, grind, all these different types of metal, I went back to jazz and I understood it even more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes from the fact, to be a real hardcore metal person, you got to be an intense listener.
Yeah.
So.
And James MCD, thank you for watching. He says, when I went through my first breakup, I listened to a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know why. They just have a very depressing sound, even in their more upbeat songs. And you're not wrong. And you know what?
Californication is a depressing album.
And
but it is. Mm-hmm.
That's very funny, and that hits close to home. But I'm not going next. So who wants to go next? Actually, Trevor, why don't you go next? I want to hear your list. I want to hear what you got.
Okay. Well, first of all, you asked about, how you approach the list. So last week I kind of did it more analytically. This week I kind of focused on music that was connected to my breakups or my unrequited loves, which is their plural. that fall, between my high school and my college career. So that's the kind of the basis here. So let's see here. I'm going to start out with a biggie. And that was from 1997, and that is Elliott Smith. Shows up again. He was on the Love one with Miss Misery, which was actually the theme song to Good Will Hunting, and was nominated for a Grammy. So you had this scuzzy, kind of grungy guy from Portland that Gus Van Sant loved. Nobody except for hardcore, like, college radio people had any idea he existed, and he's playing the Grammys with a seersucker suit. This is a song that literally just tears your soul apart and then spits in it. And that again is Miss Misery by Elliott Smith.
Nice.
Okay, so number 2 is actually by Tom Waits. And Tom Waits, if you aren't familiar with him, singer-songwriter in the United States, kind of got his start doing kind of a beatnik thing in the late 70s. And then eventually this turned into almost more of a carnivalesque kind of thing. But his songs, he's always dealt with the grimier side of life. So, some of his best heartbreak songs are from early albums like Closing Time, but that doesn't fit in. But this one actually comes off an album called Blood Money from 2002 called All the World is Green. And it pretty much follows a man after having a continual, nonstop argument, and he hits a point where he's not sure if it's going to go on anymore, but it kind of implies that it's a codependency, and even though all the world is not going to be green, it's going to happen over and over again. So let's see here. What else?
Evergreen.
Ever, yeah, exactly. My third, this comes from my college years too, and this band actually was my first live in studio for an old show I did for WSYC called Global Cafe, by Pedro the Lion off the 2002 album Control. It's a track called Options. Now, Pedro the Lion was kind of emo core, but they were also a Christian band, and they started off in this label called Jade Tree. But Bazan was going through a lot of life issues. So Control was a break from that, and it's an entire album about him questioning his divorce. Options is a song that is solely about the internal dialogue one has when they feel like, maybe I want divorce. So that's why I put that one on the list. And then we're going to go to Tori Amos, which, of course, Tori Amos had a lot of breakup songs, very emotional songs for many, many years. But we're going to go back to 1992 with her first major label. Tori Can't Read. We got to show respect there.
Yeah.
Little Earthquakes, 92 with Crucify.
Crucify.
Yes.
Great song.
And you can read that song in so many ways. And that's the wonderful thing about breakup songs. And you can either read them as a direct reference to a relationship or how you're feeling about something the other person has no idea. So it was hard, but Crucify, I had to pick. Number 5 is an all-time favorite, Ween with Baby Bitch off Chocolate and Cheese, 1994. The best song about dealing with the person you broke up with a year ago. They can't get over you. And baby, 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 bitch. Just please fuck off. This was an amazing song by this duo of lunatics, Dean and Jean Ween. So right now, you mentioned some emo. I'm taking it back to early emo, and that is 1999 American Football with the song Never Meant. Great early emo album. Number 7, Ani DeFranco, Untouchable Face from 1996, Dilate. Now that's an intense song, which yet again you can read as this person's face is untouchable now, or it's just the yearning of never being able to trust me, we've all been there probably more than we want to admit. We can't touch that woman or person's face. So that's why I picked that one. Here. So we're going to follow that with one that there's actually a little story to. And that's Songs Ohio, better known as Jason Molina, off the 2003 album Magnolia Electric Company. Farewell Transmission. So this was only a few years ago, but I was in about an 8-month relationship. It was kind of the last time I actually looked at relationships as this is the one. So it was 8 months, and it took me about a year to get over it. And this particular album is one of the most heart-wrenching breakup albums ever. And I discovered after about 8 months that I had played it so much in the car, my daughter had memorized all the lyrics. And that's what I had to do some self-looking, look inside there, and so after that is Radiohead's High and Dry, the amazing sophomore album Benz from 1995. This is just a very straightforward breakup song and about the feelings that come from not having the person or thing you depended on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to follow that up with the one that rides 8990, and that is 9 Inch Nails with Something I Can Never Have.
Yeah, great
This
song.
Unbelievable lyrics. It will tear you to shreds.
Trevor, do you prefer the remixed version of that from Further Down the Spiral?
No, I have to stick to the original. I'm pretty
Okay, because I actually prefer the remix version. I like it. He plays it down tempo even more, and like has a little bit of reverb on the vocals, and like it's. I was such
has a little bit more of a hurt feel on the remix. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is another song we could throw in here, but that's another story. Okay, so
I
number
purposely
11.
made sure to leave that one off. I was like, that's too easy.
Too easy.
So this is a British band called Tinderstick off their sophomore album called Tinderstick from 1995 with a song called Tiny Tears. And it is literally an orchestrated, just gorgeous song that is literally about nothing more than I have nothing more but tears based on what I have done to lead to this breakup. It also happened to be a song used at the end of one of the seasons of The Sopranos in correlation with him going to therapy. So it's a little tidbit there.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was fun stuff. Now, number 12 for me is I'm Trying to Break Your Heart by Wilco from that transformative album, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Yeah. And it just, the name alone says it all. Now, my number 13 is a very special dark thing. And it's by Steve Albini, the guy who produced the Nevermind album and many, many other commercial alternative albums, who is a musical lunatic from one of his bands called Shellac, from an album called 10,000 Hertz, spelled hurt as opposed to hurts, and it's called Prayer to God. And I'm just going to read a little bit here. Okay, where do I have it here? Okay. To the one true God above, here is my prayer. Not the first you've heard, but the first I've wrote. Not the first, but the others were a long time ago. There are two people here, and I want you to kill them. Her, she can go quietly, by disease or a blow, to the base of her neck, to where her necklaces close, where her garments come together, where I used to lay my face. That's where you ought to kill her, in that particular place, and you don't even want to know what he does to the other guy. So that is the song that I'm ending with. The nastiest breakup song I've ever heard.
Wow.
All right, damn.
Yeah.
You guys are getting dark.
Trevor.
That's awesome.
All right. Let's keep going. So Derek, you want to go next?
Sure. I'd love to.
These heartbreak songs, like last week, it was like, yeah, let's go. I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is.
No,
I
I'm
did-
thoroughly enjoying it.
We'll start passing Xanax out here soon. So.
Mine was I made a list based on different types of heartbreak, not necessarily a breakup, but definitely I did stick to R&B. That's my go-to when I did it with the love and I did it with this, but I feel like that the slow person screaming their heart out is where I want to be when I am, in a heartbreak situation. So that's why I went for the most part. But I have a pretty, a pretty good list here, I feel, of what I would listen to in a heartbreak situation. Hopefully that I never have to go through again. So one of the first song I thought of actually was November Rain.
Ooh.
Great song.
Now
This is a
that
good
song,
song.
is not necessarily about. I mean, we all know what the songs, what the lyrics are, and the imagery was very powerful. But even without the imagery, I just feel like the way I feel like he's really spilling his guts about how he feels, and I love that. I love like a story being told about how miserable somebody is. That's that's what moved me the most. Probably
It's as emo as they ever got.
yeah. Oh yeah. And there's actually different versions popping up, not different versions, different live performances that are popping up all over the place. I saw one that they did in Tokyo, I believe, recently, and I was blown away by how good it was. He plays the piano and stuff at the beginning, and it just made it even further down into the hole of emotion. So anybody go check that out. I have on here one of my favorite groups of all time, R&B groups, is Jodeci, "Cry for You," and I feel like that song sums up any kind of pouring your heart out to somebody. When it comes to 90s R&B, it's the first song I think of when people say 90s R&B, and I mean that's big in my mind because there's so much that went on during that time. It was hard for me to make a list like this. So I just try to think of the ones that stand out to me the most and just roll with those. Another one I have here is song "Not Gonna Cry" by Mary J. Blige. And that song I love so much. To me, I mean, I liked Mary J. Blige before that, but that song is the one that really kind of solidified her as a real, like an R&B singer. When she did something that I feel like she's probably one of the only people out there that could do, because Real Love and You Remind Me, all those are great, but this one hit me in my heart. And I can, the story that she tells with that song is just really something powerful, I feel.
That was almost on my list. Well, that was on my big list, but that wasn't on my final.
The shortened
ultimate, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a really beautiful song.
Yeah, I love that.
I have to say this, that I hope that she's not forgotten like a lot of people, because in my opinion, she was the 1990s equivalent to Aretha Franklin.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she should be remembered that way and not be a, side note in R&B.
Right.
I think the problem is that Mariah Carey's star was bigger in that time.
She also sounded like she was killing a cat too.
No, I agree. There's no argument. Well, you know what? Actually, there was I can't remember the name of the song I was listening to back in the early '90s. Though Mariah Carey, she was good. She was good, but later, Anyway, please proceed. So
I feel like she was.
I disagree 100%, but okay.
I feel like she was always feeling like she was in competition with people when she already kind of had her thing, when I remember that time when she came to a stage and said, my instrument is my voice or something like that. She said, just because I'm not sitting behind a piano. And I was thinking, no, don't do it, Mariah.
Do you guys know that Mariah Carey in I think it was 97, Butch Vig produced a grunge album for her.
Really? Can one find this?
One can definitely find this on the internet. I'm pretty sure it was Butch Vig. Don't quote me on the producer, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Wow.
He did everything in the 90s, so I mean, he was everywhere. But she made a grunge album.
Okay.
See, that's the type of thing.
I'm so sorry, Derek. I'm not stealing your thunder. I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan. She's a top 5 singer for me. I was dying inside when you guys were saying it, and I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
No, I'm dying to hear that. Like I said, expanding.
I think
want to hear that.
Linked. I know I do.
Oh my God.
Okay. What else do we have here? Oh, Nothing Compares to You.
Oh,
can't have. I mean, I could sing that song on my happiest day. But it also reminds me of just a heartbreak, just losing, the person just walking out your life, whatever. All the flowers that you planted in the backyard are all gone, all died when you went away. There's nothing there's nothing that says break up like that, as far as a simple way of putting it. Like nothing is going right now in my life. So I love that song so much. And actually it could be Sinead O'Connor and Prince, because Prince had released a version. I think it was 90. I think I had 94 that he came out with a version.
78. He released it in in the 2000s because he wrote it back then and he gave it to her. But Chris Cornell did an acoustic version of it too. It's very good.
Oh, I think I've heard that. Yeah.
Reason number 1 million why Chris Cornell is the greatest male rock vocalist of all time.
Listen, calm down. All right.
Okay. I have another one, which was a duet with two groups. It's a little on the cheesy side, but I love the writing in it, and I love the performance in it. They're not a bunch of powerhouse singers, but have All Cried Out by Allure featuring 112. And I was listening to that the other day, and they talked about Mariah Carey speaking of Mariah Carey, having something to do with that song. And when you listen to it, you can actually hear Mariah in the background and some of the background vocals. If you listen toward the end, and I was floored by that I had listened to the song a million times and never really had I never picked up on that. So I thought that was cool, but I love the writing of it. I think it's really good. Now that's not even they're not the originators of that song, but I think this version sounds more, taps more into the emotion that I would look for in a heartbreak song. I have Burn by Usher.
That's the first one somebody stole from me.
Oh yeah. I love that song. I mean, Usher, that album to me, I mean, the whole song is just basically dragging your heart through the mud the whole time, and I love that.
Confessions was such a great concept album.
Such a great concept album, yeah. And he really twisted the whole, hey, you cheated on your girlfriend thing. He flipped that around real quick. A lot of people can learn from that lesson. I mean, everybody was looking at him like, you're the worst person on the planet, but I am gonna go run and get your album right now.
It's damn good.
That was great. And then having that to think of while you're listening to the album made it even more, impressive, because he really laid it out there. So I love that. Got a few more here. Nice. I have Unbreak My Heart by Toni Braxton.
Toni Braxton.
Very nice.
Love her voice. Yeah. I think she's another one, Trevor, like what you just said. I hope people remember her because she has really some hit. I mean, when you throw on her records, I mean, it's just, it just takes you right into her world. Whatever she's trying to convey, you feel it right away, I feel. And
Tyson Beckford.
Good one. Wow. All right. I have Before I Let You Go by Blackstreet. It's not their most famous song, but to me that's the song that if I only could listen to that. And then they have, Don't Leave, which is another classic one, but that wasn't in the vibe of what I was going for. But Before I Let You Go is kind of not a breakup, but more of a, when he's starting to detect that something's going wrong in a relationship. It's not as strong as it was. So he's saying let me get that kiss before you go. Maybe, that'll help spark something within us. I think that's a beautiful sentiment. No. And also have X Factor by Lauryn Hill. Nice. Lauryn Hill, X Factor. I think it was beautifully written. And the groove of it, the music of it is what gets me the most. It's just a very deep sounding, it's just right away it's a mood, and I love that. I love that about it. And the song being about her just saying like, listen, we were supposed to have this, but we didn't get this. And I love that. And lastly, I'd like to nominate my own song, which is "I'll Be Around."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
I
fucking
wrote
yeah.
it originally. It came out in 2009, and I wrote it from. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Counts. Limited 2010, right? So yeah, man, totally.
Yeah, I wrote it in 2009. I re-released the new version later on, but that was after I gotten better equipment in my home thing that I got. But I wrote that song based on, I kind of fused 4 real life stories of people that I know that have been cheated on, and I try to fuse them all into one story. Starting out by just like the exact moment of finding out, that, and in the song I actually talk about, the guy actually being outside ready to take her away, and me trying to convince her not to go out the door. So I feel like that's one of my favorite things that I've ever written, and I feel like nothing says heartbreak more than that.
I gotta say,
as far as what I've done,
I gotta say, I'm dying to hear it, because it seems like what you're telling us, that it's something that not a lot of heartbreak songs do, but it's important, and that's the reverberations of a breakup and the collateral damage.
Exactly.
Really awesome. So I'm actually dying to hear it. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, and I also talk about, I'm trying to, you definitely never hear that in anything related to hip hop. In the hip hop world, the man is always the one in charge. I have 15 girlfriends out there. You're just one of them. I'm gonna leave you tomorrow. That's basically the kind of thing that you see in hip hop world. But I tried to flip that totally on its ear and actually talk about something that people would be uncomfortable talking about in any situation, and I tried to turn it into something a little bit more, meaningful and emotional. So that's that.
Awesome. All right, Dan the man, you're
So,
up.
my playlist, I already let the cat out of the bag with that. It's an actual playlist from 2007. The original name. So I was really obsessed with, I don't know if the movie had come out yet, but there's a book called Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. And there's a line from the book that I thought was killer, and I named so I have like thousands of playlists still. I don't know if you guys still do from like all the time you've had iTunes, but I still have all my playlists, and I named it there we go. I named it after this line. The best way of getting over someone is getting under someone else. And I always thought that was a killer line from the book. And I took out, unfortunately, so all my 80s dark pop and synth is not in there. Sorry. All that new wave, it's gone, because Mick said it had to be 1990 or after. All my 60s, like, hit country stuff, gone. So I took and I rearranged it, though, and I wanted to tell like a journey. I thought about like this idea of, the monomyth, this Campbellian journey in terms of how a person goes through a breakup, and things that help and things that assist and things that get you out of it. And that's part of why I took out the metal too, Paul, because the metal was more like about just being angry in the moment. And it had nothing to do with the actual like heartbreak or anything like that. So I started mine with Blink-182's Damn It from 1997's Dude Ranch. Great proto-punk album. But everybody celebrates this song as like a party song. I remember being in college and then playing it constantly at parties, and I was thinking, like, has anybody ever listened to the actual lyrics of this song? Because it's not fun. It's not a fun song. And in the time, that time in my life, for sure, that whole like idea that you're having this argument, this person I broke up with, we argued for 6 months before breaking up. And it was like, just like the song where it's like, I'm not going to hold everything you just said against you, but I'm still going to hold it against you like 5 months.
Yep.
Second one is the ultimate dude breakup song, I think, of all time, other than anything by Ronnie James Dio. And that's Linkin Park's In the End from 2000's Hybrid Theory. It's like Taylor Swift for dudes if you look at the lyrics. And the one thing I learned, I'll say after, I'm going to go through
Linkin Park ever.
Break Up Me has the worst taste in music ever. That was my first like, I listened to some really terrible songs.
So wait, does that make Jay-Z Kendrick Lamar? Because Kendrick just has performed with Taylor Swift before.
Oh my God. 3 comes
Derek knew what I
from
was talking about.
Natalie Imbruglia's Left of the Middle from 1997. An underrated pop album, in my opinion. That and Dido's No Angel from 1999. If you want to
Another
check out
really
90s
good
pop,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Torn, I know the video and everything like that was sexy. The lyrics of that song were like, they always spoke to me when I was in a breakup, and it's the kind of thing that, like, you know, I think somebody said that. I think Trevor, you might, or Derek, maybe you said it. Derek said it. Like, hopefully this never happens again. I mean, I've been married to my wife for 10 years and, 13 years together. Like, hopefully this is not a playlist I have to bust out again, because I'm just going to be equally embarrassed about it next time. But, yeah, Natalie Imbruglia's Torn, great song, really speaks to me, the emotional side of it. I also drove a lot while listening to this playlist. I remember driving a lot, and so it's everything you can sing to, but I can't sing for, like, beans. I'm a terrible singer. So I had to do it in the car so nobody would hear me. No Doubt's Don't Speak, from Tragic Kingdom, phenomenal album, and the idea of, like, still having to share this space with somebody. Because early on when it was like a 6-month breakup. It really was. I'm not singing it. Stop. My wife is taunting. It was a 6-month breakup, basically. She had to go like away to work. She had graduated before me. She goes away to work, and she's working for the Army, and she's down in Georgia at the time. And so it was just this kind of thing where, like, when she would come back, we're still sharing the same space, but we're still pissed off at each other because she would come back and stay with. And, I had my big duplex apartment I was living in, and she'd come back. It wasn't when we finally broke up. It was when I got rid of that duplex and moved into the fraternity house. That's when we finally broke up. And I swear it's because she needed someplace she had no place to stay when she came back to Michigan. Usher's Burn. I mean, Derek already said all the key high points to it, but this is one thing that I will say is that you have to own the expanded edition of that album because there are like the extra 6 tracks on the expanded edition worth it.
Yeah,
I still have it somewhere in the garage. I have the CD. I mean, Derek hit on all the highlights to it, but that is a great breakup song because in terms of how you go through this journey of breakup, it's like you have these moments of like, wow, I'm terrible. And you're just like feeding on this, like, I'm a terrible person. I just don't deserve her. She, like, all that stuff. And so,
why am I like this?
Another terrible song. But at the time, for whatever reason, it really spoke. From Evanescence's 2003 album Fall, and there's a song called My Immortal. Terrible song. But, like, sad bastard me apparently was like, man, sing my feelings. Like,
turn it up.
You picked every song that would be on, like, the jock jams of breakup songs.
Depressed jam.
So the next one, I also, like, in the mid 2000s went through this, like, emo punk phase where I was listening to a ton of emo punk. Like,
I'm surprised there's no Korn.
Oh, well, no, I took all the metal off. I took all the metal off. So My Chemical Romance's Black Parade from 2006 is probably the best example of this emo punk era that I could even think of. And the song I Don't Love You from that, I mean, it's a little too on the nail, but again, I would drive around singing this song, and it's like when you're transcending out of that, like, because again, I went back to this idea of the monomyth, the Campbellian monomyth. The low point for me was like My Immortal. I'm never going to get over this. I'm going to be burdened by this breakup till the end of the universe. And it wasn't until I stopped to realize, like, I'm not into you anymore, that you start transcending out of that ending point, and you can start lifting yourself out of the hole, so to speak. Then comes another, emo punk from Under the Cork Tree. Fall Out Boy's 2005 album is a song it's an album full of breakup songs, and there are other ones that are on there as well as like their album that came out afterwards. I think in 2007. Thanks for the Memories, but that wasn't on this playlist, so I'm skipping that one. I Slept With Someone and Fall Out Boy, and all I got was this stupid song written about me. I used to write furiously. I've probably written, I don't know, let's call it 10,000 poems in my life. And I remember her texting me and saying she found like a box in her apartment of all of the stuff that I had written her. And all I texted back was like, yeah, you dated me for 3 years and all you got was a box full of memories. And like, wow. At that point, I was over it. I was like, man, why are you texting me? Leave me alone. But she was just like dragging it on.
Here's a box to dredge to. You know?
Yeah, like
So
don't go
it's like,
fishing for boots if you don't want to get mud. Next up is continuing with the we're transitioning out into this. Panic at the Disco's 2005 album of Fever You Can't Sweat Out. I know it's like polarizing among fans, but Nails for Breakfast, Tax for Snacks is a great breakup song about like just doing the things that you need to do to just get past something, like to get over it. And I remember like going through my apartment when I moved to my fraternity house and finding so much of her stuff that I could have just like kept. And I was like, no. And I was just like, chuck, just throwing stuff out. I gave her couches away that she had given me when she moved to Georgia. And like 6 months later, like way after the breakup, do you still have my couches? No, I gave them to your sorority sisters. So, penultimate song. Now, this is everybody has this moment when they're a hero's journey, right? They're transitioning out. You're getting over them. You're like, I'm over it. Everybody has that last moment of like, wait a second. And we went on one more date. This is a true story. We went on one more date. And I remember listening to this album on the way home from that date. Okay. Yes, it's a song about like.
I'm like, what is this?
So we go on this last date.
Hey, George.
And this is like way after the breakup. It's probably 3 months after the breakup. Michelle Branch's Spirit Room is a great album from 2001, by the way. It's a phenomenal album. And I think she's an underrated artist.
Very underrated. Yeah, I agree.
Goodbye to You, but the unplugged version is the necessary one. Okay. And I was having this moment when we were driving home, like, are we going to get back together? And then I remembered why we broke up. And I was like, no. Which brings me to my last song. And this was always my breakup song. Like, and this dates all the way back to like when I first started dating in 7th and 8th grade. Foo Fighters' Best of You. And it's a song that twofold. I mean, we're getting to the end of the hero's journey, right? And you come out to the other side, this Campbellian monomyth, you're a changed person, okay? And the best part of that song is that people tend to only remember the high points of relationships. And it points that out. Like, there were low points and high points. And you got the best of me at times, but I'm going to move on because you've probably forgotten about the worst. And that was like, I mean, that was always my breakup song. And it kind of brings me out of that Campbellian journey. Only 11 songs, but it's a real playlist from 2007. I thought that was pretty cool. And my little journey of mostly terrible music that apparently I love to drive around and sing to right after that.
Great list. Guys,
I like the stories that go along with each song too. I like that. That's good because you picture it.
I was so happy to hear these too. I was so happy with these lists and the stories that came with them and learning so much about this stuff. So I couldn't have asked for better. I really appreciate this, guys. And I know some of you have some stuff going on afterwards. I did let Sturdy know, and but let's if you'll indulge me just a little bit, and then with my list, and then I'll have some of you guys sign off before we go to our outro. But and guys, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. And subscribe and hit that bell and stuff so you know when more shows like this come up. But if you guys are ready, I'm gonna throw out my list. This is it's a bit autobiographical. I put a lot of thought into this one. So this one kicks it off. This is my big one. Derek knows. Derek's been there. My Unrequited Love. I'm not going to name any names. So this was boy meets girl. Girl loved boy. Boy liked girl. Boy hurt girl. Girl moved on. Boy realized he loved girl. Boy chased girl and had a great life because of it. I didn't get her. We were friends. Still are friendly, but didn't get her. But in the chase, I lived a great life. And so I chose Love is a Losing Game by Amy Winehouse to kick this off because I loved her very much, still do. I always have loving feelings for her, but it was always going to be a losing game. And that's why I chose this to kick this off, because this mixtape is a journey for me. It's a heartbreak, but it's bittersweet though. And then I went to Kiss the Rain by Billy Myers. Now, Kiss the Rain came out in 97. Now, 95, 96, 97 were tough years for me. I got very bullied both at home and at school. 97 was sort of the end of it. Not that bullying ever stops, but like the viciousness of it. And Kiss the Rain came out around that time. It was playing on the radio a lot, and it just kind of resonated with me. So it always sort of stuck with me. It's sort of a comfort song, honestly. Like I remember it for those reasons. And then I go to Hands Down by Dashboard Confessional.
Nice.
The OG.
This song reminds me, it didn't come out at this time, but it reminds me of my friend group from high school and sort of like that, sort of interdating that kind of went on. Not me. I was always sort of like on the outside of it, but sort of like how we always did that. And, my crushes and my rejections and all of that sort of my life at that time. You know what I mean? So like that song always sort of reminds me of that group, of that time. So then we go on to Stay by Lisa Loeb.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but this is for the woman that I lost my virginity to. So that's as far as I will go with that.
Damn it. Robbed.
Yeah, well, that one I'm saving for 5,000 subscribers. You get that one. That's a good.
We'll be on Patreon. We put on Patreon.
Probably that'll be the great reveal on Patreon. It's worth it. Don't Speak by No Doubt.
No doubt. Yeah.
Now, why is this on here? I don't have a particular story or person that this has anything to do with, but it is one of those songs that is just like, it's part of my growing up. It's part of my generation. Like in high school, when that came out, that was like that. And I think Sublime's, I can't think of the name of their
Wrong Way?
Song. No, not Wrong Way. Their biggest song.
What I got?
Santeria is probably their biggest song.
Freedom.
I'm not saying their best song. I didn't say their best song. I'd argue their biggest song, though, radio wise. Stuff like. No, I didn't say best song.
I just questioned, is there one? But
just
let that alone.
No, but it was those sounds of that time, is what I'm
Listen,
saying.
Mick ain't got no crystal ball, Trevor.
I ain't got no crystal ball, and
if he had $1 million, he would have already spent it all.
Anyway, that's not on my list. Anyway, that's why I was there. But then I'm getting back to the idea of it. So Scar Tissue, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, nice.
Here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the heartbreak. That song reminds me of being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
All the scars that carried around from being bullied and like just abused and stuff like that. So that's what that sticks to me. Mr. Brightside by the Killers reminds me. What?
Paul stole one and I stole one.
Yep. It reminds me of prom.
And there you go.
I had a not particularly great prom. So it was kind of a bit of a bummer. So that reminds me of that. Adam's Song by Blink-182.
Damn.
Heartbreak of friends who have committed suicide. So Nothing Man by Pearl Jam.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
That was
very, very good album.
That was one that stuck with me quite a bit when I was down, depressed. I felt that song. I still will. Like that song really resonates with me, especially during heartbreak. All the way through, even to my wife and I, that's that there's no secret of that, but we've separated. So even then listening to that song, it resonates, so, but Good Charlotte, My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, wow.
Here's why. Heartbreak song because it's a friend of mine wrote a movie when we were in college about a heartbreak that turned deadly. And it's the first movie I ever UPM'd and realized I want to be a producer on. So it's not a heartbreaking story, but it revolved around heartbreak. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to add it. Screaming Infidelities by Dashboard Confessional.
Dashboard Confessional.
Wow, Dashboard Confessional.
Florida nights, singing this at the top of our lungs, just having a good times, man. Going to the beach or something. This was just, thinking about, past heartbreak, stuff like that. you are releasing all of that heartbreak and those tensions when you are
His
singing.
voice too. His voice, like even it doesn't matter. I don't think what he's singing. It's just something about his voice that just kind of has pain in it to me, anyway.
Yep. Oh, 100% agree, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still like I listen to these songs like all the way up, like and a bunch of others, but like this where they're still making me feel it. How to Save a Life by The Fray, but because and I like The Fray, but this one in particular, I think it's overplayed quite a bit. But at the time it came out, it reminds me of somebody I cared about very much that I lost to drug addiction. So the heartbreak, of course, is where that lies. Heartbeats by Jose Gonzalez.
Oh, I love Jose Gonzalez.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, he's a good. Another one is was Stay Alive is a good one, isn't it? But that's out of the but Jose Gonzalez is very good. You should listen, check him out.
Yep, and his band Junip also, both phenomenal. Kind of like Argentine Nick Drake with mild electronica. So yeah, I agree with you, Matt. Good stuff.
I have no idea who any of those other people are.
Nick Drake?
Nick Drake?
Like Drake?
No,
Like-
no, not Drake.
Like Pink Moon? Pink.
I am surface level. Like I like Jose. This is probably as deep as I've gotten.
Cut, man.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty deep cut, Mick. I've never heard of that person, but I know Nick Drake.
Oh, okay. I got lucky on this one, I guess. So Heartbeats with Jose Gonzalez. I loved the woman before I met my wife. I loved her. We weren't in love, but I loved her. I didn't think I was ever gonna like fall in love and get married. She never thought she was, and we were kind of close. And we had a falling out beforehand. And although I'm glad we did, it was heartbreaking because I do like. Of course, we'll always have loving feelings for her. I want her to be very happy in life, and I'm very happy that I was able to fall in love with my wife. Find that love. But this song always reminded me of her because she always had a very good heart, and it reminded me of that like sort of heartbreak that I always wanted her to be happy, because I always wanted her kind heart to find that love. So I added that. That's sort of that heartbreak of that. Let Her Cry, Hootie and the Blowfish. When I was going through my separation, this was one I thought about a lot because I knew I wanted to be there to comfort my wife, but I knew she also needed the space. So Let Her Cry was one where I was like, and she knew she needed that too. So like, and afterwards when we came back together, I told her that. So like that was one that like I'll listen to, and that reminds me. So like it was a heartbreaking time, but it came back together with some beauty to it.
And a new thing to bond over too.
Yeah, absolutely. The Last Temptation by Corey Glover and Vice. This is this might be a very deep cut. This is a very indie song. I'll send you the link so you can listen to it. Corey Glover from Living Colour.
That's right. Yeah, I thought that was it. Yeah.
He had a band called Vice, mostly just East Coast stuff back in the day. This is one of my favorite songs. Derek, you might have back in the day. I might have played it for you. It's a beautiful, heartbreaking song, and I love it. But it reminds me. It came out a long time ago, and it reminds me of like Derek and our other friends, like that core group that I just miss, and that youngness, which leads me into the last song, "When You Were Young" by The Killers, which came out in 2006 when I left for college in Florida, and to me, that's when things really changed. Because I moved around a lot, state to state, all over the place, officially settled in Virginia after a time, and it never really felt the same after that again. I don't think any of us have ever really been in the same room, and it's just, that's heartbreaking to me.
I'm just really glad you didn't say photograph.
Oh, that's my last one.
If you had said photograph, I might have micked myself.
There would be no Nickelback on my list.
The number of friends that sent me that song when that came out, and I absolutely despise Nickelback.
Despise balls thinking about.
So I'm so glad you didn't say that, Mick.
That was not that didn't even come into. That didn't even come into my brain at any point. At no point did Nickelback enter the fold. So it came into the fold for Paul, I say, a little bit.
Oh, it did?
It did. Because one of my dearest friends is obsessed with Nickelback, so that reminds me of high school because he'd always fucking play it if you gave him that aux cord. So
Oh god,
it just
Love
always makes me think of the high school times. You know, I'm not saying it's a good song by any fucking means, but
It
it
reminds
almost
you.
made that list. Yeah.
Sometimes a bad song can
Yeah.
bring you to a place of nostalgia that's good, but you
Yep.
know,
Listen,
you
I
don't
have
choose to
11
play it,
really
but then when
bad
you
songs.
hear it, it brings you to a good place. So
He's still obsessed. He saw them twice last year. He flew to Vegas to see them, came right back and saw them in Charlotte like 2 days later.
flew to
Are you,
Vegas.
he flew to Vegas just to turn around. I don't even
Just
want
to, yeah.
There was probably
Yeah.
room on their
I
plane
gotta
for
give
him.
him props. He's a hardcore fan. I mean,
Listen,
it is
everybody's got
Nickelback, but I guess every
Everybody's got
band
their
needs
geek.
some love. I guess.
I guess.
Like it's just so sad. It's like at that point I want to put it on my list. Like the most heartbreaking song is like Photographed by Nickelback because of Paul's friend.
I feel bad for him. I have heartbreak for him.
Heartbreak for Paul's friend's wallet because he just keeps going to see
I'm
Nickelback.
sorry, man. I have no like that. Creed and Nickelback are two bands that I know Creed is seeing this huge like resurgence right now. Like those two bands, I just can't. I can't. I'll listen to some absolute trash. You guys just heard my 11 songs, okay? With the exception of Usher's Burn, there's a lot of garbage on that list. And Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters, great song. I should say that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the acoustic version. But like, I can't with Creed and Nickelback. I can't. I lived through this one time, and I swear, if I get into my 50s and then Nickelback does the like cycle back, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Add Godsmack to that.
I saw Godsmack in 2003, and I actually liked them before I saw them live. After seeing them live, I was like, "This is really bad music."
I had the same experience with Third Eye Blind. Oh, painful live.
Well, gentlemen, I have to. We got to start wrapping it up because there's
I didn't mean to
people
derail.
Thank you.
who have to jump over to Sturdy Show, but Paul and I have to outro. I'm going to let you guys go. I want to say thank you so much for joining us for this event. We are going to be doing this again. We're going to have some more mixtape plans. So I hope you guys can join in for those. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mick, just real quick, somebody in your comments had, I think Miranda had written, "Why didn't I make my R&B list with Brian McKnight?"
Yes.
The reason Brian McKnight is incredible. The reason I didn't put him is because his voice is almost too beautiful to associate with heartbreak. I don't care what he's singing about. That's really how I feel about him. His voice is just so great that it's hard for me to just imagine guts and bleeding hearts and stuff. That's the way I think about it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's hard to argue. It's hard to argue. Even she says fair.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Cool.
I should mention, Derek, this is from somebody whose entire breakup list would probably just be NSYNC songs and Justin Timberlake. So.
And with that being said, I'm going to say bye.
Thank you all.
I feel like that worked.
Yeah, I liked it. Because there were 3 of them and you said bye. I liked it.
Yeah, I took the chance and I went with it. But hey, guys, guess what? It's time to review some movies. That's right, everybody. We're going to review the hell out of some movies. We're doing the Iron Claw and Players. And let's kick it off with the Iron Claw. You ready, buddy?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So the Iron Claw is the story of the Von Erich family. They were considered the first family of wrestling. Very famous. Kevin Von Erich, Kerry Von Erich, David Von Erich, Michael Von Erich. There's actually a Chris Von Erich as well, but he was not in the story. And I think that's all they portrayed, really. And then it's the story of these wrestling family that came out. They were trained by their father, and they were always thought to have a curse on them because they all died at a young age except for Kevin. And this is that story about how all of them sort of died, and then kind of subsequently the things and the effect it had on the rest of the family. So this is an A24 film. It's very dramatic, very well told. Zac Efron playing Kevin. I really, really enjoyed this movie. And James says that it's a crime that it didn't get nominated. I think it should have been nominated for Best Picture. I do agree. I don't know that anyone other than Zac Efron needed to be nominated for a Best Actor, if any. And the best actors that are nominated already, I think do outshine Zac Efron. So I don't think it was robbed in any other way than it would have been a good Best Picture nominee. How do you feel about this movie, Paul?
So I was impressed. I didn't realize it was A24 till the end of the movie. So, before I start talking about the actual movie, just getting to the end, I was like, holy shit, this was A24. Like, this was very beautiful. Because I'm kind of used to their horror, which is kind of a hit or miss. It's usually a hit. But so just seeing them be able to do just a proper drama, I thought they told the story beautifully. I think they did the family justice because I didn't know anything about this. My roommate and my Nickelback best friend are obsessed with wrestling. So they saw this in theaters together and they were like, nah, you have to see it. It's good even for someone who doesn't know anything about wrestling. They were like, you will enjoy it and it makes sense. And they do explain what's going on. And so I waited to see it at home. And I will say, as someone that's not, I know Hulk Hogan, I might know Ric Flair, like I know the big names kind of, but I know nothing past that. So I thoroughly enjoyed it as much as you could because, the true story of what happened to all of them, that's awful. Like it broke my heart. Like I was like, God damn, man. Like I had to look it up just because I was like, this can't be true. Like now we're down to, this brother being gone and now this one. I'm like, no, they're just trying to like lay it on thick. And I'm like, holy shit. And like you said, they left out one and I'm like, well, fuck, man.
And they left one out for effect of they thought it would be too depressing because that would be 3 suicides in a row.
Right.
And like they didn't want to be too depressing on it. And I got that. And it was the only thing I wonder, and I wish I could find out more information. I haven't yet. And I have been trying to do more research is Kerry, the one that Jeremy Allen White played. He was married and had kids because his daughter has grown up and she was a wrestler as well for a while. I think she's retired now. I'm not sure. But so by that time, I think he had been divorced by that time. But they never made mention of him having a family. But I think it was, and he had a couple of arrests, which I don't care if you mention the arrests or not, because I get maybe not wanting to sully his name or anything like that. That's fine. Right. I get that. But I wonder why the family wasn't mentioned, because at least it would have added some context of maybe not him leaving the WWE is why or WWF why he's depressed, but losing his family, like that sort of situation. So I just didn't quite grasp that or I would like to maybe learn more about how come they left that part out.
And I'll say
no, I was just James saying I knew nothing about the family, so I was expecting a standard rise and fall type biopic, but I was not expecting the fall. Yeah, this was this is a tough story. I knew going in, I warned my wife too. I was like, this is not an easy story. I was like, all but one, go. I was
right.
Like, all but one, and even like in the beginning, I was like, because I knew like one passed away real young in the beginning too.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was like all, and I told her, I was like, at the end, I was like, but Kevin has like a family of like 25 people now. I was like, and he's leading like a happy life. I do love how the ending kind of plays out for both of them, for all of them, I should say, for everyone. Even the father sort of gets his comeuppance in it. It's just a really well told story, and Zac Efron, I think, deserves a lot of credit. Everyone deserves credit for their performances.
Right. Absolutely. The physical in there, just everything they did just to get in shape for this movie. I was thoroughly impressed. When I first saw Zac Efron, I was like, it's got to be a bodysuit. Let me look it up. And I was like, oh no, he put on the pounds. Like he did it to get in shape for that. And I mean, he's no joke body wise. Normally, but to bulk up like he did for this, I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, good on you. Like, you were dedicated. All of them were dedicated to fit the roles and look almost identical to Natural Brothers, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, they did such a great job, and they looked very similar. The only thing I would argue is that that Kerry, who Jeremy Allen White played, was a bit taller than Kevin, I think. If not taller, like he was at least beefier. And Zac Efron's character was like, it seemed way bigger than Kevin. I mean, it's semantics. I don't care. Like, it didn't affect it in any way, shape, or form. But I think we both gave this one a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's a pretty strong movie. It definitely is still approval. Go see this movie. The Iron Claw was a great story of a tragic family dynasty of American wrestling. And
I explained this. Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, as far as I recommend movies for Iron Claw, when my family was asking what I thought about this for certain family members, I was like, well, I know you watch Virgin Suicides and you did enjoy that movie. I was like, this one kind of has the same overall feeling about it. Granted, Virgin Suicides isn't the Iron Claw or like this whole true story, but if that's the kind of vibe you're going for, this one fulfills that vibe as far as that goes.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. It's a tragedy, man. Yeah, you're I'm right up there. I agree. And then then we go a little bit lighter for we figured new for Valentine's Day we'd watch Players. Because if you're going to have a movie about players in this day and age, woke central, it's got to be a movie like this, where a bunch of journalists, I guess, they work for a newspaper. Yeah. I don't know what's happening. I don't even know what year it is. In this movie, she's a sports columnist for a newspaper. They all work for a newspaper. You can tell already how I feel about this movie. And I'm trying to be enthusiastic, but it's tough it's very convoluted. So to get laid, they all team up and pull different like con jobs on people to get their friends. They're basically wingmen and women for each other. And that's it. That's it. That's all they do. And they pull stupid little antics to get each other laid rather than actually just talk to somebody like a human being. So, and it works because in these movies they always do. Right. So stars Gina Rodriguez, Tom Ellis, who played Lucifer on the show Lucifer, Damon Wayans Jr., Liza Koshy, and two white guys I've never seen before in my life. And they're honestly two of the most annoying people I've ever seen in my life. They really drove me nuts. So let's get into it. I'm just going to put the ratings up. Mine was a 1, and I would have gone lower. I didn't hate Gina Rodriguez in this.
Right.
Like, she was a likable character. No, she wasn't a likable character. She just has natural charisma that I like. But you gave it a 3, so I'll let you just roll with it. Go ahead.
So this is kind of the opposite effect of the movies that we reviewed last week, where my expectations for this movie were exactly what this fucking movie was. I knew what I was in for. I knew it was going to be some cheesy shit of, like you said, pulling cons that would never work in real life. Some little jokes here. Someone getting serious with someone and not working out. So I thought it was exactly what it was. I really have a soft spot for Damian Jr. I'm not gonna lie. I like the roles he plays.
I like him. I like him a lot. Yeah.
I thought this movie, I gave it a 3 because I thought it's exactly what its wheelhouse was. It's not supposed to be some sophisticated comedy or this and that. It's supposed to be, it's called Players. You know what you're in for. It's going to be about players doing dumb shit. I don't know. To me, it was just exactly what it was. So I at least gave it a 3 because I don't think it disappointed for what it was in the category it was supposed to be in.
I think this is drivel that was puked on paper by ChatGPT probably. And it's everything that was ever wrong with rom-coms that we now know that ever but what they did was they gender swapped and they just made Jake Ryan an asshole.
Yeah.
They made Jake Ryan an asshole rather than a nice guy who comes with the cake at the end. At the end, he just doesn't like and so oh my God. And she ends up with Ducky. I hate this fucking movie.
I mean, I'm not sitting here like I love it. Like I still wouldn't be telling people you've got to watch this new Netflix movie.
Like,
but
no, it's 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink, but it's 16 Candles story with more Molly Ringwald from 16 Candles, but with fucking what's his name instead of Jake Ryan? What's his name? David Spade's character from Pretty in Pink as the guy she's chasing.
Right.
And instead of Michael, this movie sucks. This movie's terrible. This movie is terrible. I wish I could give it a 0. I just don't do that. There are people who worked on this thing, and they did put work into it. And actually, at least I kind of can appreciate the fact that that the Yankees are in it, and I like the Yankees. That's it.
We can start off just because of that. My fault. You just remind me of that. Yeah.
The score off. All right, listen. Well, that's our ratings for players. Watch it or don't watch it. That's
Don't
your
watch it.
eyes. You know, good luck. Anyway, mixed movie pick for this week comes from 1997. And we've been talking about it quite a bit, mafia movies. And I think this one is an underrated gem. It is Donnie Brasco from 1997. I don't know if a lot of people have seen this. If you have, maybe watch it again. But, you know, it doesn't, I think it goes untalked about a lot and when we're talking about gangster or mafia movies. It's a fantastic movie. I urge everyone to go check it out if you haven't, and especially for that time period. I think it had a lot of influence on like what The Sopranos getting ready to come out and things like that, you know. And yeah, it's a terrific movie. So I want to thank all our guests tonight. Go check them out. All their links are down below. Trevor from Ambassador Radio and Media, fantastic. Thank you for your list for the last 2 weeks coming on for Love and Heartbreak. Derek from Unlisted Artist from Unlisted Productions. Thank you so much for coming on for both your lists for both weeks. Master Shake Dan, who you can check out 8 p.m. for Master Shake's mixology. Master Shake's moderately entertaining mixology minutes every Friday night here on the Scene Snobs channel. He's going to be making a new drink and then he'll be joining me on the Outcast afterwards. Hopefully you can join in too. Paul, we're going to have Dave Kerr on this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. I want to thank you, Paul, for being there. As always, you're a great dude. Always have a fun time with you. And thank you all for joining in the comments and watching or listening. You guys are all awesome. Yeah, make sure to check out our affiliates down below. You know, if you have anything you want to throw out, next week we have Jesse Green. He's joining us again. We're going to be talking some fun stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. Make sure to be kind to each other. Make sure to stay classy. Make sure to take care of yourselves because that's important. And until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan, and that's producer Paul, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.